You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do? Doctor, will it be okay? You got the
All right, well, I hope it'll be okay. That's what I'm here for. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, people are stupid. I really don't want that to be the theme of today's opening segment, but unfortunately, I can't lie. We see it. People are stupid. And so, and I've even made the stupid joke. When cyclospora first started, people were getting explosive diarrhea. I'm like, I've been constipated lately. I could use some diarrhea. It's a joke. I don't want to get cyclospora or cyclosporiasis. I don't want the parasite. But there are individuals that are on TikTok or on social media actually advocating that you could lose weight with it. So maybe get a nice dose of it. People are saying, oh, yes, I'm going to run to the grocery store and I'm going to eat some lettuce. So they're also spreading misinformation. And these influencers are trying to be funny. They're trying to get clicks. They're trying to, get notoriety and become famous. But please don't listen to them. Don't get cyclospora to get skinny. So we've all seen that phenomenon where we get a bad stomach flu, where we're vomiting, we have diarrhea. It lasts a good few days, and we are slowly out of bed feeling better. And you're kind of putting on your sweats or your pajamas, and you're like, okay, these feel loose. So you go, I'm going to check my weight. You go and step on the scale. You're 5 pounds or 10 pounds lighter. And you're like, dude, I'll call over my husband going, look at this. Look at the weight I've lost. And he'd be like, looks hot from here. And, whatever, make jokes about it. But then the second I get my butt to the kitchen table to drink a little bit of soup or Jello or fluid or whatever, I just go right back to the original weight. Now, why does that happen? Well, because with diarrhea or any sort of toxin you get into your body is trying to flush it out. So it is going to use every possible fluid resource to dump and get it out of your body. You're not burning fat. You might need to start living on some fat stores if you haven't eaten for a few days. But the weight you're losing is all the water and extra fluid. You're getting dehydrated. You're getting dizzy. You're losing electrolytes. If you don't have the proper electrolytes, that could put you into abnormal heart rhythms. Having a bad case of explosive diarrhea is dangerous. Now, with this latest cyclospora outbreak, thank God we've had nobody die. But we have had multiple hospitalizations. Let me see if I see where the numbers are at now. I think we are at 18,000 confirmed or probable cases. It has spanned, the cyclosporiasis outbreak has spanned 45 states. There's been 6,700 laboratory confirmed cases, roughly 11,500 additional probable or under investigation. Plus, I think that number is grossly underestimated because a lot of people are calling telemedicine. They're trying to get treatment over the phone. You're not supposed to because it's a CDC reportable illness. You need to get tested. But I think there are some doctors saying, here, just take an antibiotic, get better, next patient. So I do believe the numbers are even higher. But to be cyclospora skinny, which is what's being hashtagged and what people are trying to, execute, is very, very dangerous. So a question I keep getting is if you lose that 5 or 10 pounds, you get sick, whether it's flu or COVID or norovirus or a GI issue, how then can you keep it off? Okay, the trick to losing weight and keeping the weight off is losing weight properly. So the reason why these crash diets don't work where you starve yourself is because if that's not methodical and it's not really getting into the fat and burning it off, and you're not at the same time increasing your muscle for metabolism, you're going to gain the weight back. Your body goes into hibernation mode. If your body is noticing you're not eating, its metabolism slows drastically. Because remember, your body is trying to keep you alive. They say the average human could live 2 weeks without food. Up to 2 weeks. You need substance, but in order for that to happen, and not everybody, some people will die, sooner than that. But it's because your body goes, we're going to shut things down. All right, we're hibernating here. And so if your metabolism slows, now the reason why that happens is any calories you do take in, you'll keep. So you don't want to trigger that hibernation mode. You don't want your body to go, okay, we need to hold on to every single calorie. Now, on the other end, it doesn't mean just eat, because your body will end up storing that as fat to save it for a rainy day. So you need to eat methodically. You need to eat the amount of calories you burn, maybe even burn more than what you eat. Make sure you get your nutrition. Make sure you build your muscle. These people losing weight on Ozempic are rebounding because they're not at the gym. They're not building up their muscle, working on their fitness, like Fergie says, up in the gym, working on my fitness. You need to be working on your fitness. You need to be getting that muscle tone because your muscle will increase your metabolism. You need to eat healthy. You need to keep your fluids up. You will not lose weight if you don't keep your fluids up. Now, some people could say, but Dr. Dahlia, you just talked about the water weight, losing 10 pounds of water weight with your cyclospora. That's not what I'm talking about. Your body needs to have fluids to run its kidneys, run its filtering system, run its liver system for the blood. And your body will do anything it can to hold on to that fluid. So if you start to bloat or get constipated, you're going to gain weight, right? Because the body is trying to absorb the fluid from the food. You need to ensure that you're having plenty of fluids. You don't want to overhydrate and get hyponatremic where you have low salt, but you need to ensure that your body is not going to have to switch into any survival mode. So drink plenty of fluids. Don't be drinking diet sodas or Red Bulls. I know there's a lot of good studies on coffee and helping with dementia and the heart, but still make sure you are giving your body fluids and electrolytes that it could use and not have to break down and sift through and filter. Make sure you're eating healthy. And if you do get cyclospora and you have horrible explosive diarrhea, talk to a medical provider. Make sure your fluid status is okay because you can be hospitalized. And in severe cases, it can kill you. We haven't had anybody die from the latest outbreaks, but definitely hydrate and don't do it just to lose weight because you're going to just rebound as soon as your body can get you back to your normalcy. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years, stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So huge development with Hamas temporarily, and it's, trust me, with these people, it's temporary, agreeing to disarm. This is a deal that President Donald Trump orchestrated, and the peace to Gaza is something that is necessary, but Israel needs to ensure that Hamas is not going to attack them again. And so for Hamas to disarm, which was part of the original deal, and Trump negotiating getting the hostages back, this is a major milestone, saying Trump's Board of Peace has reached this agreement for a complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups. Previous attempts to reach the agreement have, had issues. But on Friday, Hamas issued a statement today saying the first step towards the agreement would have to be a commitment by Israel to, quote, stopping the killing and ending its attacks. Now, I know Hamas is trying to get world media to believe that Israelis are just going over there and randomly killing and causing genocide and all that, but the IDF is there for defense. And if there are terrorists or any threats, they are, neutralizing those threats or arresting. And people ask, they go, how did Hamas get through? The Israeli Defense Force is one of the most, strategic and effective defense forces. What happened? Well, we're still learning, and I'm sure we're not going to get all the information, but Gaza is still a large territory. And so you don't have enough humans to make a human wall. There's no wall. There's walls, but it's not like, it's not like a border, because, Gaza is still within the Israeli territory. And so there were multiple, blind spots, and Hamas was able to not go through one port of entry, but multiple. They used explosives and machinery. They broke through barriers. And where they hit were unarmed areas, like young people dancing at a peace festival and a kibbutz where people do collective farming. They knew what they were doing, and they were able to plan. They were able to break any sort of security barrier. And so Israel has to step it up. I mean, if they're going to be attacked, they have to ensure that an attack like this doesn't happen. So the weak spots, apparently there were more than 30 weak spots. There's a fence surrounding Gaza, but the Hamas figured out where they could, they actually bulldozed and blew up the areas, making them weak spots. They used drone strikes. Drones, where did they get their drones? Iran. They destroyed camera systems, sensor towers, cellular communication masts. So the IDF, when this all started, lost a lot of their eyes and ears. Thousands of militants crossed simultaneously. It was an invasion. They used motorcycles, pickup trucks, rubber boats. They used paragliders. And it overran the nearby Nahal Oz base. Soldiers were killed before they could organize a quick response. They did respond, but by then 1,200 people were already killed and hundreds of people abducted as hostages. So Hamas was doing training drills, preparations, according to, I believe, BBC. Lower-ranking surveillance soldiers, the Tatzpitaniot, were I guess they saw that a lot of the warnings were dismissed, and then they hit on a Jewish holiday. Apparently, when people like to attack Israel, they do it on the holy holidays. So it was the Sabbath, it was Simchat Torah, and they attacked on October 7th. So the IDF, in return, needs to ensure that the border that they crossed is more secure. And so, Trump was able to very smartly negotiate Hamas disarming. Can you really trust terrorists to disarm? No. So for Hamas to go, okay, we'll give up our weapons, but Israel needs to leave and not be by the border. No way. No way. I mean, they attacked Israel. And they didn't say, look, let's meet the military on the battlefield. Let's battle it out. They didn't just attack a base. They attacked young adult men and women at a peace concert. They attacked a kibbutz. They raped babies and children and beheaded them. Disgusting individuals. And when I hear people in America going, oh, yeah, well, it was justified because Israel's so bad. No, there's no justification for that. Israel has to protect, and they have every right to protect their borders. And what Hamas did was so horrific. One of the worst assaults, especially on children and young innocents, that the IDF has a duty to make sure this doesn't happen again. And for Hamas to go, oh, yeah, we'll give up our guns, really? No, they're not going to. They're going to still plan and plot. So we have to make sure there's that protection. So when people are saying, well, I don't know if Israel's going to agree, and they're making this very hard, nobody believes that Hamas is giving up their weapons. So, well, in the meantime, Trump is with his cabinet now at Camp David. Very, very cool. Camp David's really, really nice. I've never been there, but it's a unique place to have a cabinet meeting, kind of a little bit away from the whole, White House and the, if they want to spur new ideas. But this retreat, Trump is a very hands-on president, unlike Biden, where we don't know when his cabinet met with him. But he is talking about, Spain. He's talking about Iran, talking about the election. And so Trump said it's Camp David, and this very room is a very, very special room. And they are televising the cabinet meeting. So people, I'm sure, we're not going to hear everybody's thoughts on public television, but at least the, American people get to see what's being discussed and what's being done. Transparency is huge this day and age, especially after the Biden administration. We're going to talk about the economy, border, Iran, the recent surge of migrants into Quetta, and which is a tiny territory of Spain, where Moroccans, thousands of them, tens of thousands of them, over 60,000, pushed their way through. Half have gone back, from what we understand, but it has caused Spain to bring in their armed forces. While Americans are upset about ICE, you have other countries using armed forces to protect their borders. So Trump says, I saw Spain yesterday and I watched a catastrophe that took place. It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. He said, and that same thing is going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse, much bigger. So is that, if the Democrats win, or is there going to be this massive rush for the border? Is there going to be all right, everybody, come on in? Did what Biden do, was that just a drop in the bucket to what's really going to happen at the border? I don't like hearing conspiracy theories. I don't like hearing, oh gosh, it's going to be Armageddon if one side wins and the other side didn't. But the Democrats have been very successful with what happened with the border, because it put the onus on the Trump administration for deportation. And now the Trump administration looks like bad guys deporting. And as the years and months go by, fewer people remember that it was Biden that caused this problem. So if the Democrats go, in the long game, we got more people to vote. We're gonna have now more voters. We're gonna get more people in. It's going to help sway our cities, maybe turn Texas blue. So let's do it again. Open borders. I don't think Trump's wrong. And I think it's going to be even more of a chaotic mess than even under Biden, because it's going to now be, people are going to help. the Democrats are gonna want. They're gonna be like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're gonna be sending you to Ohio. We're gonna be sending you to Wisconsin. All these purple states, we're gonna send you there. Change the vote. You going to California isn't making much of a difference. So we're gonna set up areas where you could go, and then this is how you vote. So a lot's gonna be riding on the midterms of the next election. And I wish, we just had laws that were common sense like other countries. 1-877-DOC.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Dahlia here. Thousands of physicians, residents, nurses, and medical students are silently dealing with depression. And tragically, 400 take their lives each year. 400! I wrote The Depressed Doctor, hoping to reach out to anyone struggling. You're not alone. Don't stay silent. The Depressed Doctor can be found on Amazon, or the book can be found on drdahlia.com. And if you or anyone you know needs help, call or text 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline. Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So the summertime is beautiful, but it can be very dangerous if you're swimming near sharks or if you're hiking near bears. And we take nature for granted because we're like, all right, well, there's a trail. The trail was made. There's a beach here. There's a lifeguard there. So I guess we're all good. Humans are allowed to be here. And where do you think nature goes? Do you think nature just goes away and says, all right, well, then I guess I won't exist here. I'll find another beach. I'll find another gulf. I'll find another ocean. I'll find another trailhead to be around. Now, I was in Alaska, and I love to hike. And in Alaska, you have to be aware that there's bears. All right? If there's a brown bear, if there's a brown bear, lay down, get down. If there's a brown bear, if it's black, fight back. If it's a polar bear, you're just screwed. Not going to be able to live through that attack. But, my family, we want to see bears. And there's an area where the Russian River Falls is in the Kenai Peninsula where salmon are swimming upstream. I posted some pictures of that, and I posted where bears go to catch the salmon. So we want to hang out and watch the bears. And all these people are sitting there watching or waiting for the bears to come to eat the salmon. Well, I get bored and I want to walk. So I'm starting to walk around and I'm hiking. And I videotaped this. And there was a little area that actually could have been a den. And I might have walked right by a bear den. Well, that's dangerous. Most bears don't want to mess with you. You do you, they do them. But if you're near their babies and they think you're a threat, they're going to kill you. So I decided to abort my hike, go back to the river, and then we just decided to go and hike the few miles back to our cabin. Because I was like, I really don't want to get attacked by bears, which is I'd love to watch the bears in action and watch the bears eat the salmon swimming upstream. They were sockeye. Really, really cool thing to see. I didn't stick around long enough. And there wasn't that surge of sockeye salmon. I think it's going to happen this week. So for those of us who really love bear watching, you got to hit the time right. But swimming, it's a dangerous time for with sharks. We're hearing there's kids getting attacked by sharks. If you remember, in January, a 56-year-old woman was snorkeling at Dorsch Beach on the island of St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was 4:30 p.m., just out there snorkeling, shallow water, designated area, well known, and unfortunately, she sustained catastrophic injuries, lost her left arm because of a shark. It is shark season. I know we have Shark Week on Discovery, but it's no joke. A 12-year-old, Nico Antic, in Australia, was cliff diving with friends off of Jump Rock near Shark Beach in Sydney. He was severely bitten on both legs. They think a large bull shark got him. He ended up passing away a week later. Devison Roca Dantes, a 13-year-old in Brazil, back in January, swimming at Chifre Beach in Pernambuco, suffered a catastrophic bite to his right thigh, went to cardiorespiratory arrest before he could reach a hospital. Jamari Reed was in Jamaica, was spearfishing a couple years ago, and sadly, a fisherman later discovered his body that was attacked by a shark. According to annual tracking data compiled by the International Shark Attack File, a global average sits at about 70 unprovoked shark attacks across all age groups. 5 to 15 may result in fatalities. Children are not targeted specifically, but again, these sharks are looking for food, they're looking for fish, they're looking for seals, and somebody splashing around, they might not know. So Fox News has some advice for those of us that are swimming near shark waters, being that there is an increase in white shark. Bull sharks, you got to watch out for. White sharks. I was actually in Florida a couple months ago, and I felt something near my ankle, and I was in shallow water. So I'm like, well, to heck with this, I'm going to get back in. And then apparently, I guess within an hour, there was a woman next to me. Not a woman. There was a woman down the beach that got attacked by a shark. So pretty frightening stuff. And we're coming into August. All right. They migrate. They feed along the way. They're hungry. And Dr. Chris Lowe, professor of marine biology and director of the Shark Lab at California State University, confirmed that there has been an increase in white shark activity so far this year. He says we expect by August, September, or October to see even more sharks off the Southern California coast. Wyatt Wernath, national spokesperson for the American Lifeguard Association, a retired ocean rescue chief based in Cocoa Beach, said they've seen typical numbers for this time of year, although there have been a couple little nibbles where people were bit on the heels or the toes. If you could survive a nibble, that's amazing. Unfortunately, some people lose a whole limb, or a good part of that limb gets chewed or removed, and they can't save it, so they have to amputate to protect against infection and to salvage the rest of the limb. So the first thing they say is know before you go. Before visiting a new beach, locate lifeguards, check for shark sightings, rip currents, jellyfish, and other hazards. You could tell rip currents because the water looks different. Try to, before you go to the beach, be in an area of higher ground, even if it's a hotel window or a hotel stairway. And look to see if you see rectangular water that looks a little different in color because of the tide and the deepness of the water. If you do get stuck in a rip current, relax. Don't panic. All right. You're going to try to swim parallel to the beach. Don't try to swim around in circles or swim towards. I would swim parallel. Go to your left or go to your right. And try to swim parallel to the beach until you swim out of that area of rip current. With jellyfish, they come up on you. Those are not fun and they hurt. I've gotten stung by jellyfish multiple times. Not very easy, and it's very hard to pee on your own leg. Friends did a great example of that. You're going to need someone to pee on your leg. But look for the flags. Red flags typically indicate a high hazard. Yellow flags mean heed caution. Green flags mean low hazard. A purple flag or blue flag indicate the presence of marine life. Combination of red and blue flags signal hazardous marine life, like dangerous jellyfish or sharks. Number 2, they say, is avoid other animal activity, like fish, birds, seals. All right? If there is suspicious animal activity in the water, like all of a sudden you see seals just, start to freak out, that could be a sign that there's a shark. So fish may be running for predators. If you see water percolating on top, don't go in the water. If you see birds diving into the water or feeding erratically, don't go into the water. Dead marine life may attract other animals, but why was that marine life killed? Could be a shark. Don't stray too far from shore. I know a lot of people like to go deep and swim deep and, try to be closer to the shore. Don't think just because you're in shallow water, you won't get bit by a shark. Sharks will go up to shallow water too. California has about 3 shark bites per year and a fatality every 3rd year, but the numbers might be increasing. And once people go out to open ocean, they might encounter shark species that have not really seen people before. So they might, again, perceive you to be a threat. Skip dawn and dusk swims and never swim alone. Sharks like to feed between dawn and dusk. And I got to tell you, it is fun, to be swimming as the lights are going, as the sun is going down, getting out there to fish and surf at the break of dawn. Unfortunately, those could be the more common times, popular times for sharks to be out there. Don't wear shiny jewelry. Shiny jewelry could look like fish scales. Avoid murky water. Avoid where rivers leak into the sea or empty into the sea, because that's where sharks are going to try to pick up food. Never swim alone. Always be with other people. And then, if there is a shark, just try to move closer to the shore. Hopefully have a knife on you so you could attack its nose and eyes. All right. We'll give you more tips as we go. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. I might be old-fashioned. I maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I'm having a tough time feeling sorry for people with student loan debt. And it looks like the media is wanting to capitalize on that population because of the midterms coming up and then the next presidential election. And I'm struggling feeling sorry for somebody who, like myself, borrowed money, knowingly signed on the dotted line, borrowed it for college, borrowed it for school. I really can't feel sorry for them. I feel bad if they do have debt. It wasn't easy. I had to work multiple part-time jobs to pay off my student loans, but that's kind of the nature of the business. If I don't have the money to pay for something I want to now, and I'm going to use a credit card or get an auto loan or a mortgage or a student loan, and I'm of sound mind and competency, when I agree that there will be interest and I will pay it back, I just don't understand why we're required to, give such a sob story and give such, empathy and sympathy, especially when during COVID, many of these individuals were interest free and didn't have to pay. So now we're led to believe that because they got months or years where they didn't have to pay off student loans, and now they have to start paying again, they need our help and our sympathies. And trust me, I want to help people, and I love students. Now, I've been a professor for years. I've taught students, but if you're going to borrow money for your car, your home, for your iPhone, for your plastic surgery, for your college, that you pay it back. That's what happens. So here's an article from Business Insider. And the article is entitled, "He Works 3 Jobs and May Have to Drain His Retirement to Afford a $600 Student Loan Payment Surge." So we're supposed to feel sorry for this person, and I feel bad for him. But you borrowed money. If you borrow money, you have to pay it back. I mean, I feel bad, for these people that borrow money from the mob and then they get beat up because they, didn't pay it back with interest. I feel bad that they're getting beat up, but you borrowed money. Why did you borrow the money? Now, if you needed to eat and feed your family, we do need to figure out how to help people so they don't go into debt trying to feed their family. But I believe this gentleman wanted to go to law school. I'd love to also go to law school. I can't afford it right now unless I borrow. So Luke Helton took out $80,000 in student loans for undergrad at the University of Tennessee. He thought going straight for his JD or his law degree would propel him to a stable career, so he borrowed more money to become a lawyer. It's what millions of students have done. You got to understand that if you don't, graduate law school, just like if you don't graduate medical school, or if you don't pass your boards, that is a gamble. So you better, usually it's really hard to get into law school or medical school. They usually only accept you if you are going to be able to. But, because otherwise it makes them look bad that you can't practice. But he goes to undergrad and he wants to go to law school. Good for him. Problem is he failed the bar. Personal life challenges kind of derailed his path. So by the time he realized that law might not have been the best path, where he might have made a mistake, his student loan balance had grown to $119,000. Plus, I guess another $103,000 was taken out by his stepdad on his behalf. So not sure what happened there. So he's got a couple $100,000 in student loans. He works 3 jobs, a 9-to-5 at IT, part-time at Best Buy, and DoorDash on the side. He earns $60,000 a year from his full-time job and around $6,000 a year from his gig work, which is unpredictable because it's DoorDash and you never know when you're going to get your hit. He says between rent and monthly bills that I have to pay, I have a little over $500 left over for gas, groceries, whatever else. So now this article is talking about how President Trump is going to make his budget get tighter because I guess he has to start paying back his loans. Well, don't blame Trump. I mean, that's what happens when you take out student loans. If you borrow, you got to pay. So Business Insider, he said if he cannot cover his student loans, he may have to go into his 401k. Now, I didn't have a 401k. I didn't have that at 33. Luckily, he does. But yeah, if you're in debt, you're going to have to pay off your debt. But what the media is going to do is they're going to want taxpayers to go, we'll help you. Why don't you go back to the law school and ask them to buy down your debt. Why don't you go back to the University of Tennessee? They're the ones that took your money. Go to them and ask them to drop your debt. But that's not the way it's going to work. We taxpayers are going to have to take it on, and we're going to be expected to vote somebody in who says, we're going to wipe off all your student loan debt. It's just not fair. And what are we teaching people? Business Insider said they have heard from more than 1,000 student loan borrowers who are rethinking retirement, postponing home ownership for children, considering extra jobs to fit a higher payment into their monthly budget. Why? Because they borrowed money for school. See, I went to UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I didn't borrow for undergrad. I worked my 3 part-time jobs, so I didn't have to borrow. I still got fairly decent grades, and I got into medical school. But no, I didn't party. I didn't do sororities. I didn't do a lot of school clubs. I did some. Tried to see the Running Rebels as often as I could. But I worked, so I didn't have to borrow. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to do what I did, but I didn't want to borrow when until it was necessary. And I had to borrow for medical school, and I borrowed about 80 to 88 grand. And then I waited tables in medical school, so I didn't have to borrow more. Now, you have some people that say, look, I don't want to work when I'm at school, so I just want to have plenty of money so I don't have to work. I need a new car. I'd rather live in a home than an apartment. I'd rather not have roommates, because I talk to students all the time. So they take on more money to have a little bit more of a lush life. I would rent a room. I lived in somebody's backyard. I slept in my car, so I could borrow less money. Yes, I really feel happy for these students who got to have a nice cush house and cush car. I could not imagine a car with air conditioning, because I didn't have air conditioning. That had to have been really, really nice for you to be able to do that. But why is that on me now? I mean, doesn't school teach you if you borrow money, you have to pay it back? Now, Trump has a repayment, system in place, but he also wants to slow down on this excessive borrowing. He also wants colleges to quit cranking up their rates and their fees. I looked at my son's fees at UNLV. UNLV was a great college, but they're still charging for COVID and remote teaching. The average student would like to see the professor come to work, but you're paying not only for your professor to not be there, but you're paying for online. Well, online college is cheaper than going to a university. The fees are still rising. It's ridiculous. So if there's less money to borrow, able to borrow, then the colleges are going to have to say, you know what, these people can't, borrow $200,000 for an undergrad degree. So I guess we're going to have to charge for undergrad, less than $200,000. So, I mean, I hope this gentleman finds his way, and I feel bad that he failed the bar. But if you're going to borrow money, you're borrowing money that you're going to have to pay back. You can't expect everybody else to pay your debt. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.